So in front of you is a simple screen that is for a web application that I have worked on. Okay, and it is a web application that is it is to be accessed on either a computer or a tablet, not on phones. And the instructions on the screen is basically to download an app on your phone to get you started. Now, what do you think is the problem on this screen? You can think about it. Take a couple of minutes. Think about the context in which it is being used.
I think the fact that there is like a phone screen and it says like a mobile application, there's like Google Play mentioned specifically. I think my first relation would be to get a phone rather than a tablet or a computer. Yeah.
No, okay, sorry if my context wasn't clear. The screen is being displayed on a computer screen, whereas the instructions are to download a mobile app. So what is something that is wrong on this particular screen that is being shown on a computer screen?
The dimensions.
No, we're not talking about dimensions and stuff. There's just a snapshot of one small part of the screen. Again, this is like a small part. We're not talking about minute things like that. We'll get there. That is something on a much, I guess, a deeper level, accessibility and things like that.
I guess the cross mark.
Okay, Arman Kumar, I think what you're saying is, oh no, not that. Okay, so I think we went thoda zyada hi fast in trying to get there. But basically, if you realize in the previous screen, this what you're seeing is on a desktop, whereas when you want to get it, and there is a link to the Google Play Store. Now, what happens when you click on a link on your desktop that goes to the Google Play Store?
It generally shows the Google Play Store web application, but you seriously can't download it over there. You need to access it
Exactly.
through your phone.
Exactly. So if I'm getting a link to the Google Play Store on my desktop, is that helping me in any way?
No, it's not.
Not really.
Exactly. So how do you solve that problem?
A QR code, maybe?
Exactly. So see, something as small as that, if you instead get a screen where you can select the device that gives you a QR code that you can scan from your phone, won't that bridge the gap between what you're seeing on your screen and the place where you have to go on your mobile device? Something as simple as this was causing 25% of a company's incoming customers to leave the application on their first page. 25% of them. Now imagine how much revenue they have lost because of a simple mistake like that. That's the thing about user experience design. There's a very common phrase called designing for the next billion users. Okay. Now, when you're building a product, it is not just about trying to build something for people who have the best of the best tech abilities. Let's take, for example, the UPI system that we have, right? Cash used to work. It had its inconveniences, it had its pain points. People didn't have change, people weren't always carrying cash, sometimes they had less, sometimes the other person didn't have change, sometimes like it used to take time to transact, you used to have to constantly count, there were counterfeit notes. It had so many issues. What did the UPI system do? UPI wasn't UPI wasn't the first way for us to transact digitally. In 2012, there was the system called IMPS introduced by the government, which allowed digital transactions. Why do you think IMPS didn't become the standard for doing digital transactions all over India when it has existed for the past 10 years now?
Because every time you had to log in and give your ID and password, and then through that you have like it's a net banking only, just IMPS.
Exactly. One thing was that, and you know what? It didn't take into account that people weren't as tech savvy. The people who, the users who would have been using it, a majority of them, back in 2012, do you think a shopkeeper would have opened their phone, checked their net banking details, given you the net banking details, and done all of that for them to accept 15 rupees?
No, sir.
No, right? What did UPI fix? UPI, the people who designed it realized that shopkeepers and all are not that tech savvy. They don't trust tech as much. So what they did was they made a simple QR code which you can scan. It does not require their interaction. It can't go wrong. It is, you can go wrong, but it's very hard to go wrong. There's no 12-digit ID that you have to input, double check multiple times for it to succeed, and it does not even require the shopkeeper to be tech savvy at all. Now sure, I can put in an emulator on my this thing and all of that I can do, but that doesn't take into account 90% of the users that would interact with my uh, software. Whereas what UPI did was it addressed that issue, that people who aren't tech savvy are some of the majority that are going to be using that service for those digital transactions. So they made it easy for them. That is the problem that they solved, which was a huge issue. And that is what made the customer experience so good that everybody today has a QR code. Now there are like so many examples that you can keep citing. For example, even if you ask someone today whether they use an Android or an iPhone, it will end up becoming a huge debate. Why? Because people are so emotional about it. People are genuinely emotional about Android versus Apple. I am. If you start talking to me about it, I will fight. I'm not going to say which side I'm on, but I have my views on both of them. And due to very, very particular reasons, especially being a UX designer, I have even more technical views on it. Now, even from a layman's perspective, if you ask them what phone they use and why do they use it, it won't always just be budget mein tha to le liya. Because today, if you look at it, even if you want to get a phone under 10,000, there will be at least 15 options with similar specs from different companies. Now, why a person chooses to follow a particular company will be because of their user experience and not because of any other reason. I mean, sure, there are people who are like Apple hai to le lunga just because of a brand name and things like that. But why does that brand become a name is because of the experience that they provide to the users. I'm sure a lot of you know that Steve Jobs wasn't some sort of inventor, he wasn't some brilliant entrepreneur, but what he had was a vision to make the customer's experience better. If you think about the iPod, when the time that it came out, devices that used to come, like any electronic device that you bought at that time, came with a completely discharged battery. Now today, if you order something on Amazon, get it 3 days later, and you're very excited about it, and before having to use it, you have to plug it in for 3 hours for it to charge. Do you think that would be a great experience? Imagine you bought a mobile phone today after 3 years, and then you have to wait for 3 hours for it to charge. Would that be a good experience for you?
Not really.
Apple, when it introduced the iPod, Steve Steve Jobs had noticed that any device that you bought had to be charged before they used it. So even that small little detail, that when you bought an iPod, you could just take it out, plug it into your laptop, transfer songs, and use it. That simple fact boosted their sales a lot. ROI, which is return on investment, which is something that business people love to throw around, is a little hard to measure in a lot of cases when it comes to UX. But when you look at the screen that is on your screen right now, it is like there are ways to measure a lot of these stats, and if you look at any UX case study, it will show you how big of an impact UX causes on people's reviews of a product. If you want, like even the simplest of experiences, if you want to see, just go to an app store, look at any app that you have downloaded, and look at the negative reviews. A lot of them will be because of the most basic reasons, and you'll realize how easy it would have been to convert those 1-2 stars reviews into 4 to 5 star reviews.